playing, oh. Why is that so hot? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Is this the book for the retreat?
Yes.
I am good to go. I didn't re-like it after you said we're changing the dates.
Oh, okay. Good. Hello. Jeez. Hello. Hello. It's me. So we were playing You Save Me. You save me. You save me. Nope. Wait. You save me. You save me. Now I won't ever leave your love. And then we just kind of ended it down here. And then what helped them the most to get into the impromptu stuff is I was feeling for the moment. And then they went right into that. They were having a tough time figuring out who was going to take the start and go. So Nick, Elena, and Nadia all just kind of held back until Nadia, third service, was finally okay, I'll do it. And then that's when we finally... The cool thing is, though, we could have done this. So you can go from Nothing But the Blood, and then you can go into a song that not a lot of people know right now. That's what me and Chase are doing today. Yeah, I know it says A. I'm in the key V right now. I'm just doing it from memory. That would be capo 4 with key of C. I can, yeah, so we just did all that. And then the cool thing is you can go out of that. Hallelujah. And then you can go into this. You're trying to play the chorus? Because that's one suspended, one suspended, A. That's a 4. And the 1. Oh, hail to the 5. It goes 1 suspended, King Jesus. Back to the 1. Oh, hail, 1 suspended, Savior of 6. 4, 6. No, that's wrong. It's 1. Oh, hail. To the 5. And then that goes 5, 6 minor, 4, 1, 1 over 3, 5, 6, 4, 1, 1 over 3, 5, 6. 6 is an A minor in the key. Yes. Yeah, it's a yes. No, 5 is the. Oh, you know what? I was calling that totally wrong. A is the. No, wait. No, I wasn't. I'm right. A is 4. I'm calling for the key of E, and I apologize.
I was so confused. I was like, these are.
F is the 4, which means G is the 5, A minor is the 6. Yeah, that's my bad. I gave you is you can do I usually do an F shape with a so I make it so that's it. I would put my pinky here. That's what I do. But then also you can move your middle finger back a string so that you're not playing an open D, and that makes it sound better. It's really hard being a muscle memory and then no actual information. Oh, this is not going to sound right.
should get people to play the aux keys. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. You should get people to play the aux keys.
Aux keys? Dude, yeah, I tried to get you to play it, and you won't let me use you to play this.
Because that's what you would only put me on.
That's not true. That's not true. Because I'm scheduling Nadia. Nadia's learning how to play it this week. And James will learn how to play it this week. When you don't have...
I just have to remember I can't pee. I can at least pee, just not poop. Do the strings of this actual piano vibrate when you play this? This room sounds good. I'm Chase. Nice to meet you. I mean, it sounds good from up here.
Actually, last week it was that thing. I know. Because that computer's really old.
I am a forced piano player. I told my dad I want to learn the electric guitar. He's like, cool, I'll teach you. I'll have you teach me piano.
I think it's worth any 2 cents. Honey in the rock, water in the stove. What's your... You like that song, Chase?
I'm glad you like that song. The first time I ever heard it, actually, I was playing for my buddy's church. I was like, what is this song?
I love the theology out of it. I don't like it as a worship song. And that's only because I don't think half the people know what Honey in the Rock is. Whoa!
And then again,
Where the spirit is. Down in the wilderness. What key is it in? I have no idea. Coloring books?
yeah, we kept
Coloring?
we kept the 2-year-old for a couple days.
Ah, I see. Freedom.
He refused to color until I was like, all right, okay, buddy, it's time for bed. He was like, color? I was like, no.
No.
What's the best spot to plug in my computer?
What are you setting up? There is power strip right behind Jacob. To be fair, you're a better man than me. Everything I'm gonna say is up here. So, but I got the easy stuff. I'm doing like the vision. Here's what I want out of the. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. Movement. I didn't realize how much movement was in the song when I said yes. No. I've told you this before, but I love that hoodie. I like the greens out of it. I bow, humbled that I'm allowed before the throne of God, the Almighty King. Cast down all of my is to lay thee. Who was and is to come, to him be praised, greatly to be praised, greatly to be praised, yeah, greatly to be praised. Do you need the Wi-Fi? Not good. Still getting by. Well, I've had this for like 4 days now, and I just won't shake it. I don't know what's going on. Hello. I'm just checking if it's working. What were you gonna ask me?
Whoa, cut. Put, cut, cut. Whoa, cut. Either ride.
Planning center slide is before that video. It is last video.
To follow Jesus, the word behind the cross before, and how I'll turn. Slides, chord chart, sound control, live stream.
So I'm gonna be really obnoxious for all 6 of us.
Yes. But turn it down in the mains. The minute I turn the mains down, the whole broadcast kills it. Because we don't use the broadcast as a broadcast. We use it as a reflection of what's happening in the main service. At least that's how Josh set it up. And I didn't have time to fix it, so. Well, that's one of 7 things wrong with the podcast recording, so. Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll go with that. You know, the 4 tracks. And, see, it's 4 different tracks of audio, not gained properly. 4 different tracks of audio. So it's like copying almost like a ghost channel somehow that has no audio in it, and it's recording that channel in stereo, so right and left, and then it's also recording our actual audio left and right, but nothing's in the right channel, so it's just technically a mono recording, and it has to be gained by like 20 every week.
And our live pressure every week is challenging to listen to in that sitting room.
Yes. Well, that's because me and Josh are actually going to come in here and fix the speakers. Do you see how far back they are?
Yeah,
The minute Trey stands a foot closer, they like ring out. So, but still also, it doesn't even matter if he stands all the way in the back, we're still getting feedback from the back wall. So, we need handling this stuff. Is it like in over here?
We just got it, and it's directional. So it gets no feedback.
So,
It's literally plug and play. It's like it sounds just as good as this thing. Like no, like. I think we got. I'll find it and send it to you. Actually.
because right now Trey's mic over here points right to the back.
Does he have a countryman? That's what we used to have.
I always heard Countryman as a stand.
So this one.
What we inherited, thankfully, so if we buy something else, it's not like we're pitching money.
No, for sure. This one. It's the DPA. It's not cheap.
I mean, it honestly,
It's like $1,000, but it literally is like. It sounds better than this. And all we do is put a low pass filter on it. You can put any speaker on it. The only downside is it's just doesn't have a replaceable cable. So if you break it, you buy a new one. Unfortunately.
that's great. Does it at least come with? It comes with a capsule.
Yeah, well, you buy the specific one. Oh, so like they have like whatever pack you have, you just buy that.
That is
version.
3-pronged.
But literally, like you could sit where Nick's sitting and reach his whole center from there. These speakers are it'd be the same as that. It'd be the same as walking around with this.
Well, we also need new speakers anyways because full band.
Limiter on those pretty quick.
That's okay.
Turn everything else down for the Electric
No, not with that
You're
weird
a guitar
player.
player?
Kidding.
especially not that.
Hey, Ben! Hello. Dope group. We actually have a lot of instruments represented here as well. I think, yeah, everyone here except Lucas, will you play bass or is it only Trey?
I never played bass.
I did it.
Hey, I'm Chase.
Chase, nice to meet you. Trevor, hey, how are you? I've been teaching Trevor the bass guitar, and Nadia overheard our lesson and picked it up and for herself. I mean, it's bass. The technical stuff sucks, but
It's the closest instrument to like guitar hero you can.
yeah. It's just like
That's why I did it.
it was just easy. Although you've been apparently dropping me hints that you wanted to play acoustic guitar, and I just wasn't hearing those. I don't like. I guess I've just seen like I guess there have just been like what I felt like were like random people playing acoustic that I was like, oh, I also, or like there would be a week that you like were scrambling and I was like, I can play acoustic. be able to enjoy worship, which is why I won't partake of Anox's keys. Thank you. Even though he's technically one of the only people besides Lucas and hopefully Nadia, so he can play, and that's fine.
Okay. You play off keys. That's fine.
Okay, so unfortunately, we will have to talk through these microphones the whole time, which is weird for us 6, 7. So it's being recorded specifically for
You guys should go to
Brandon
the back.
Baroka. So it'll sound like we're talking to 600 people when we're talking about. Yes, I'll go get that for you. No problem. But Chase, actually, can you check your microphone real quick? Because I'm sure.
Check 1, 2.
Oh, that's perfect. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay.
What can I say?
You're just perfect all the time. At least that's what I think. So this is obviously, thank you for being here, by the way. This is a new-ish thing we're trying to do. We've been obviously putting MDs. You've all been MD. At least, actually, Chuck, technically you haven't, but I know you can. It's not a big deal. We've been working on this for 6 months now, and I thank all of you for being a part of that. It's not an easy transition to make, especially when the bar gets raised a little more than you probably think it should or could at that moment. But I think you guys have all stepped up to the challenge, which has been super nice and helpful, and also I think pretty God-honoring. So thank you. I want to talk a little bit about vision before I hand it over to Chase, which, by the way, thank you for being here. A big old thing. Yeah, so basically the quick, short version of this is we want the MDs to start kind of the push for a more worshipful atmosphere. And that, I feel like, has been a weaponized set of words in the worship space for quite a while.
I'm not
You're just
gonna lie.
gonna move
I
over
thought
to-
you were just about to start drinking that. I just, it's like, this
That's
looks
like
good.
2 days old. That's 2 days old. So it was just left there after service. I think those words have been weaponized to either push people towards an overextension of themselves in excellence, or it's been weaponized as like this, like, we want to be super worshipful, and if we make a bunch of mistakes, who cares? There obviously has to be a middle point somewhere in there, and I think that definitely starts with the leadership and the MD spot. You guys contribute so heavily to setting the tone of how the band will approach their practice, how they will approach their Sunday morning attitudes, even Thursday night attitudes. I can be like, hey, how are you? To someone who walks in, can be super happy and excited. We can get going in practice. We can hit an obstacle. And then even if I'm still trying to motivate, it takes that MD to also be like, yeah, guys, we're getting this. We just need to hit this and this, and we'll be fine. And it kind of helps us breed that culture of worship and what it means to actually use God's gifts in an appropriate manner. So Chase has a bunch of stuff prepped for the technical side of what it means to be an MD, and I'm sure he might touch on some spiritual stuff as well, like just kind of what it all entails, his experience with it all. But I just want you all to know I really appreciate the way that you have stepped up and what this means. My intention for this position is not like you need to be the master of all songs, of all instruments, at all times. I don't want your weekly practice amount to significantly go up in any way, shape, or form. More so your awareness is a better word. Your awareness of the moment, your awareness of the band, and your awareness of the space. So all the challenges that are going on, the way the congregation is interacting, the way that the band is interacting with the moment, and having the tools necessary to spur the band on and the worship leaders on to a uniquely God-gifted moment. Because I feel like so much of the time we as worship leaders either get stuck in the things need to be this way, this way, this way, this way, or we get stuck in the let's just go flowy, let's all figure it out when we get there. And unfortunately, I don't think either of those are very effective. So if you guys have the tools and the awareness to be kind of this backbone of the team, I think not only just moments on Sunday can be cooler, but moments on Sunday can be a lot more God-honoring, a lot more at the feet of Jesus type of Sundays. And I feel like that's what we owe to God, and that's what we owe to ourselves with the gifts that he's given us. So enough said. I think I will just pass it on over to you if you want to do your whole intro thing or whatever you said.
Cool. Wasn't ready to put the mic up to my face. This feels weird when I'm sorry. I'm Chase. Can we just kind of like go around and you guys just introduce yourselves and tell me what instrument you play and how long you've MD'd, or have you MD'd yet?
I'm Jacob. I play the electric piano, acoustic, and bass.
Let's go. We won't name any names. I know that other guy pretty well too.
Wild call out.
Just for the recording, he's referring to Nick. Nice.
So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp, but I also think that our vision for what we're looking for is different than what I did at 3.
Mm.
So coming up with questions.
Nice.
I'm David, and I play acoustic and bass, and I've been MDing for 4 months.
Love it.
3 or 4 months.
My name's Chuck. I play electric and acoustic, mainly electric, and I've yet to be here. So yeah, I've just learned what to do and stuff.
I'm Nick. I'm mostly
Beer.
mostly play acoustic and piano. I dabble in bass and electric. And this is the first church I've ever been a part of that hasn't MD.
Love it.
First experience was probably the like collective movement network worship nights that we did. And I've done a handful of times here, so it's pretty new.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I wasn't too annoying, was I?
Hearing chasing ears drive you crazy.
I know TJ hit a little bit on the spiritual side, but I'm gonna open this up in prayer, just because I no matter what, that's just the most important thing in whatever role we're doing. So let me pray for us, and we'll get started. God, thank you so much for all the hearts in this room, God, that have just stepped up and said yes to serving you in a greater way, Father. That just feels right for contrast, right for the team, and we're just grateful that they have the hearts and the ability to step up in this role, Father, that is truly designed not for perfection, but for glorifying you and your kingdom. And we are just so appreciative and just excited for what you have in store. Give me words, Father, that are not my own. Just let it be from you, and this will go okay. We love you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. So a little about myself. First of all, this, like, I know we've got microphones and stuff, but I don't want this to feel like I'm talking at you guys. Like, let's engage. Like, ask as many questions as you want. Interrupt, please. Like, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor to an extent, but I truly just, want this to be an active conversation and just kind of, I'm going to information dump a little bit, but hopefully, you get something out of it. If you get one thing out of it, I'll call it a success. If you get nothing out of it, it's totally my fault. So a little bit about me. My name is Chase. I'm currently the creative director and worship pastor at Three Creeks Church. We were the church that planted with Movement Contrast Church. Now we're the smaller church. Contrast is now the bigger church. We did
I didn't even think about that.
actually just have on a random Sunday, our biggest Sunday ever. We had 480 people over two
It
services.
wasn't like a special service or anything like that. It was just.
We had baptisms, but we literally only had like 4 baptisms.
Wow.
So it wasn't like this.
That's so cool.
So it was just like God is moving truly in all of our communities, and this MD role is something that we've talked about a lot. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But it's something that I feel like is so important that it's not necessarily a necessity, but if you have the ability to do it, it just makes you so much better. So a little bit about me outside of what I currently do, my background with music directing. So I was at Hillsong, New York City for 7.5 years. I was one of our touring guitarists, and then in my last 4 or 5 years with them, I became one of our main MDs. Through all of our East Coast campuses, we had one in New York City, Connecticut, New Jersey, Brooklyn, Boston, and truly it was an amazing experience. Why I'm not there now is a fun story, but essentially, our pastor had an affair, and then things kind of fell apart. Let's go.
Ideal circumstances.
Exactly. There's a documentary.
There's a documentary.
Not all of it's
on
true,
Netflix.
but it was a very tight knit community, and it kind of just fell apart. But through that experience of those 8 years, I really got to do some really cool things, especially on the traveling side, and kind of I'll tell some stories when as we talk through some of this stuff, and it all kind of revolves back to my experience there and the people I got to work with and the things that kind of happened to kind of show what possibly could happen, why we prepare for certain things, and so hopefully that little background of myself doesn't feel like I'm just telling you, oh, look at me, I was that guy, but more or less that's kind of where my background and experience is from. So I guess what I'll start with is tonight truly, and I talk to my team about this a lot, but my main goal is how can we feel excited for this role? I don't want this role to feel like kind of what TJ said, it's an extra burden, or it's something that we have to practice twice the amount of what we were doing with our instruments before, or something that's just man, he scheduled me on guitar and MD, dang it. Truly, finding a way to get excited about this role with everything else that you do is just going to make you want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and then eventually it truly won't feel like you are trying to do something extra. And it takes time too. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of hiccups and a lot of funny things that you might say on the microphone that you didn't intend, but sometimes you don't get enough sleep on a Sunday morning. So,
Speaking of which one of you was the one that spoke into our MD mic, our ears, one Sunday and said, "Daddy God"? You did say Sky Daddy. Just once. One of the services. It was probably Brandon.
So just kind of a general overview, and then we'll dive deep, and then hopefully the questions start flowing, and hopefully I don't go too fast here. We do have some videos and stuff that we'll kind of break down, and just to kind of give you guys some things that we're hoping. Probably. I tried to find stuff that wasn't super mainstream just to kind of see what's more relatable to our scale of church. But yeah, so just an overview. First of all, an MD in general, you might have already heard this, but your main role is communicating with the band, reading the room, and communicating with the worship leader through moments and through planned things that you guys have on a Sunday. So just to break that down, we'll start with building trust with the band. How do we do that, and why do we do that? Trust is so important, because if you say something on the microphone and whoever's in the band is like, I don't know if that's right, then like it's kind of pointless of what you're saying, kind of thing. So building a relationship with everyone in the band. Obviously, when you're in the band, you kind of already are, becoming closer with people, getting to know their strengths, their weaknesses, kind of what they do. But having conversations with people. So for me, I'm actually, even for my role in church, I'm a pretty big introvert. I like being extroverted, but if I really want to get re-energized, it's usually through being introverted. And the easiest thing to do as an MD is actually just having conversations with the people on your team. Kind of just letting them know like where you're at, where they're at, and just having that conversation. I think the coolest part about being an MD in general, outside of all the technical stuff, is like when you're back here, and maybe TJ and Nick have experienced this a little bit, but like I kind of treat it like I'm just having a conversation with the band that no one else can hear. So I like to throw in a lot of jokes, a lot of things that kind of like ease nerves, a lot of things just feel really relatable. And if I treat it like that, it's like more often than not, I've rarely gotten like pushback on like moments, and trust does get built over time through that, because it truly just feels like a conversation that happens in your ears. And it's probably not the best thing, but sometimes I do like to try to get people to like laugh when they're on stage, because sometimes we take it too seriously, if we're being honest. So like being able to just communicate through them with that. Yeah, go ahead.
To add on to that real quick, I think also for our circumstance, the trust element may not be the pushback that you get on a moment from prideful musicians. I don't think we have a lot of those at all. And more so, I think putting those kind of tokens in the bank allows the band to trust you going into a moment. Yeah. This past Sunday, we had a little hiccup where the three vocalists, Nick included, weren't really sure who should take the step to go into a spontaneous moment, or if it was necessary. That first off is a good question to ask. Is this necessary? Because sometimes we will force moments out of our own pride, and we don't want to do that. But I think the hesitancy was not necessarily born out of, I don't think what you're saying is right. It's, I don't know if we have the tools necessary to pull this off correctly. And so something that I did to build the trust is I was just like, I'm going to play the lead line of the song that I think we should go into. And if they think it's necessary to go into it, they can. By third service, nailed it. And I think it was great. Nadia did great. She went out and she led that moment, and it was perfect. But also, too, the other two services, some of it was born out of hesitancy, but also 8 a.m., I don't think it was necessary. I don't think they were, I think we were just ready to go into the next service, get done with that one, move on. And so building that trust, I think, spurs the team on to respect the call and feel the excitement almost to go do that next step, go to that next place, wherever that is.
So to build more on this, the first point I have is earn trust by knowing your material. We'll kind of dive deeper into that a little bit, but even when you're not MDing, if you constantly show up knowing your parts, knowing the songs that you're doing, having a good general idea of the flow of the service, when you are MDing, people are already going to assume that like you're on top of it. Maybe even if you're not, because there's definitely moments where I wasn't on top of it, but because I was always trying to come with everything that I needed, people just kind of assumed, oh, he's doing his part, I'm going to do my part, and when he says something, I trust him. We also build trust by communicating clearly and confidently. There's a lot of things that we can say on the microphone, but let's go ahead and play that first drum video and just kind of let's get an idea of some clear communication.
Let's tack right here. Tack it one more time. Chorus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So the MD, there was some words in the video, but I'll kind of explain. The MD was trying to continue the tags. That's kind of like the easiest thing an MD can do is like, let's do another tag, let's do another tag. I like that video because the simplicity of the communication is literally just like tag again, when everyone knows like we're supposed to be going into a chorus. And then finally, once that chorus is called, everyone's like, okay, we're locked in. So like our communication with the team can be anything from like, here's exactly what we're doing to like, hey, like we're gonna like chill here, we're gonna do something, and we'll get in through some of these communication words, like the actual stuff that we should use. But I feel like that's just like a pretty good general, like that's as straightforward as you can get when you're MDing. Another big thing in building trust and communication is, I believe, in this role, providing affirmation to your team while you're playing is something that's pretty crucial. When I MD, I do a lot of like, yep. Like if you're ever on stage with me when I'm MDing, you'll hear me go, yep. It's kind of just like letting everyone know like what you're doing is right, or what you're doing is hitting. Like especially the drummer, like the MD, when we're communicating, we're doing a lot of stuff with the worship leader, but we're also doing stuff dynamically and other things that we'll dive deeper into. And just those words of affirmation just really, I don't want to say just like excite people, but it's like when you're playing and you hear the person in your ear going like, yeah, like, yep, come on. Like that's like, oh yeah, like we're in it, we're doing it. So constantly providing that communication, because bare minimum, we all play with tracks, and they have cues. And sometimes as MD, it's like, well, I don't really have anything to say. Like if you don't have anything to say, if you're not doing dynamics, is like just affirm your team and communicate with them while they're playing.
I think to build off that just real quick, I think because we're building a moment, we're building a culture in that space. That's what the affirmations are doing. Like some people would classify what they're hearing in their ear as a distraction, but if you think about it, if we're striving for the worship moment to be God-based, to be authentic, to be honest and open, hearing the yup in your ear, the come on, should almost relate to those people that it's almost like a practice environment. You know how sometimes as musicians we differentiate a practice environment from, oh, it's Sunday morning, now we're performing. That word is really dangerous. I think if they're hearing that affirmation, they're feeling that almost honesty of the moment. They're not thinking, oh my goodness, we're doing amazing in this moment out of a prideful thing. They're thinking, oh my goodness, God is honoring this moment. We're playing amazing together. This is so cool. And I think those affirmations can go a really long way into diverting people's minds from, I'm playing these chords at this time, and helping them to be like, I'm worshiping God in this moment with my team. I think it's very different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
My mind is like really racing, and one thing that is not like a question maybe you can all answer at the same time, but as we go through the training, if you think of times in which you're thinking of, I'm getting so far ahead of myself. I also want to know what an MD is not, especially as it pertains to what the worship leader's responsibilities are.
Yes.
So like, as you're talking about stuff, and you think like, I'm not going to do this as the MD. Who's going to do that? Definitely shut down.
Yeah. I think for me, before we get into the really specific responsibilities, there's 3 positions in my mind that are of kind of the core leadership of the team. It is the worship coordinator, the music director, and then, or you could also call the first person the worship director, whatever. But that gets confusing with how we title me, because the worship director for every weekend isn't always me. Sometimes it's Nick, or sometimes it's Elena or Adam or whatever. So it's worship coordinator, music director, and then worship leaders. Technically, everyone on the stage is worship leaders, but as we will go into, most of the time that is classified as the people that are leading the people in the moment. So they're affirming the peoples. I am assuming your question will kind of ask the question, what is the difference between the worship coordinator versus the music director? And I think we'll get into that a little bit. So The worship quarterback.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into, so kind of just a recap for the pod is, what we know what the roles of an MD are, but we want to also know what the roles an MD are not. Cool. Yeah, we'll get into that some more, and please chime in at any time if you need some clarification on some of that. Trusted MDs, this is the last one on trust. Trusted MDs steady the team in musically uncertain moments. When we know our parts, the band trusts us. I'm sure this has happened to you guys. It's definitely happened to us, but a worship leader missed their cue for the chorus or the start of the song, and then all of a sudden we are 2 measures behind on the tracks, or we are in a moment that everyone's like, they're playing the wrong chords. So those, as a team, instantly our reaction is to get really insecure and to really try to figure out what we're doing in that moment. And truly, like, those moments that we try to create as a worship team can get ruined by uncertainty and by anxiety and, like, not knowing what we're doing. So as an MD, if we can steady the team and kind of, like, work on those mess ups and, like, how to find our way out of that, there's a lot of trust there when you can talk your team out of, being 4 bars behind on the tracks. And we can get into some practicality of that here in a little bit. So, how many, TJ's question for you, how many songs do you guys currently have in rotation?
Great question. For the last little bit of a year, we've been trying to kind of nail that down, because I was learning what Nick had brought on for the last 4 years before I'd gotten here, as well as where we were trying to go as a worship department, as well as what I would like to bring to the table. My whole thing is I wanted to be a balancing act, so I tried to incorporate different versions of things that we already knew. So we were correct me if I'm wrong, we were a lot more upper room, Abby Gamboa type of flowiness, softer. There was never a what a God for the most part. And I don't think we need a what a God every Sunday, but it was more of trying to balance that out on us. But I think going into 2026, to answer your question, right now we don't have a set stuff, but in 2026 we have a catalog of about 24 songs, and then 10 songs that aren't in that 24 slot that are memorized hymns or memorized choruses that everyone on the team knows.
Yep.
That we can kind of go into, tag whenever we want, that we are working towards, that are not current yet right now.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I guess a kind of question for you guys, like, how often are you coming into a Sunday, like, in the week before you were learning a new song, essentially, or, like, you haven't done that song yet? Like, does that happen pretty often? Especially now with that onboarding. And this, in your intro, and kind of like the heart behind, there's not, we're not trying to add extra stuff to what you guys are already doing, but hopefully this picture I'm about to show doesn't discourage, but it encourages. Pull up that one with all the words. Yeah.
This is crazy.
So when I joined Hillsong, I was given this sheet. It's still saved in my notes, my favorite, but they said I have 2 months to learn every song on that list.
When he told me this on the phone, I was like, "You did what now?"
So, in the timing of things, like in the year that we are, it's like that's the album that we're playing. So, like, I guess a little bit of background there too is, as that organization, people know our music, and when they come to church, they expect it to sound like our music. They're saying the same worship leaders and the same people that are on the records on stage on a Sunday. So the level of excellence, what they were going for, where I might not agree with it totally, it was definitely just like you need to know your stuff. And so in 2 months, I found a way to learn all these songs, and as I became and transitioned into an MD, I kind of would always come back and revisit this as like a oh, here's a refresher of what we're doing, because believe it or not, at any moment we could be on stage and the pastor or the worship leader like, hey, we're jumping into the chorus of this. And the whole team is not expected to have all of this down. It was more or less like, hey, like if I know the songs that we have in rotation, I can at least communicate to the team in the moment, like here's the chords or here's the numbers. And it's kind of like the same thing. Like what's a song that was your favorite song 10 years ago?
Well, I mean, some of this stuff is almost 10 years old now that
Yeah.
I remember doing.
I mean, look at like the 2015 Open Heaven album, Transfiguration, or actually, you know, the headliner Open Heaven. Yep. Oh, praise the name.
Sinking deep.
So like when that call
Live?
happens, so like imagine, because this would happen too. Like we're like, okay, we're going into "Oh Praise the Name," and it's like if you look at especially Hillsong's music, you're like, there's a lot of "Oh Praise something" in their song titles. So it's like it's all kind of familiar. And what's cool with the band is if you kind of know where you're going, or if you can figure out before you communicate where you're going, you can communicate the chords. And even if they're like, I don't remember which song this is, usually, you know, when you think back to a song 10 years ago, as soon as you hear that chorus or as soon as you start playing, you're like, oh yeah, I know this song. It's kind of just like ingrained in your brain somewhere. Because the cool part about worship is it's pretty unique, but at the same time, there's so much repetition between every song, every band. Because truly, like, you know, musicality is cool, but the goal of worship is just so much different than regular music. So having that repetition in there is pretty biblical in the sense of, you know, we're praising God through our worship and through our song.
And to speak into kind of your concern earlier, this is the highest level of
Yep.
just about as high as you can get. Like, this is the most professional you can get. Him having to learn all these top-tier MD work, that is obviously not what I will ever ask of you. I recognize that just asking the team to memorize the 10 hymns is a lot. You guys have your own lives. You are doing so many other things for the kingdom, for your families, for your own spiritual walk. So I would never want the professional nature of some of this to come in between your own responsibilities and faith walk and what else. But I do think if you're willing to step up to some of the call, that some of the tactics that we will learn from Chase can be implemented in such a way that does not create a burden, but creates an excitement, like you were saying. And I think that will never happen. And I don't even do that. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to memorize more of our songs. But I will never have it all the way down. And I think that's where trust comes in. Yep. Even if it's not memorized, it's in good heart and good faith still.
Yep. And really kind of what TJ is saying, like the main reason I'm showing you guys this is like worst case scenario. Our best case scenario, and kind of why I asked that question of like, we've got 20 songs. What are ways that we can be immersed in those songs without feeling like we're drowning ourselves in those songs, and finding practical ways. Like I would make a playlist, and I would just shuffle through that playlist when I had free time. I wouldn't sit down with my guitar and just like dive deep into them, but I would be like, I want to know like in general like what this song sounds or feels like. And that's kind of like the key as MDs of like, man, we can get really technical and really down and like have notes on like, I have every bridge and every chorus written now. I know that song inside and out, which is great. That's kind of like what I turned into with this. That's kind of how I managed all of it. But mainly it was just whatever I was doing, driving to work or working out, and I had that playlist going. It's like, yeah, I've heard that song before. Like I can feel it. And after you've heard enough of them, you kind of, because of the repetition of worship, you kind of know what's coming next. You can kind of predict what chord is going to be played, which makes it fun.
That's what's specifically grown my musical journey the most.
Mm-hmm.
I hit shuffle on a playlist, and then I'll play along with it. and I'll make 80 million mistakes, but I will get a better understanding of the, like, even just the tonality. Like, oh, I know this chord's coming up next, or I know that I'm going to bring this back down. I'm not going to build it up yet. And it's pretty impactful when you take the chord sheet away and you stop relying on it and you start hearing the song for what it is. It'll grow you pretty quick. And that's not even for like the MD spot. That's for like empowering you guys to, like, 10 years from now, you might not be a contrast, probably won't be, and now you can go bless another worship ministry with that skill set. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that truly comes from a place of, like, I'm not trying to discourage or make this feel like this is going to be a lot of work. When you take things in little steps, like, you start developing skills that you unintentionally were trying to develop. But if you're constantly just, like, putting forward, like, some kind of effort of, like, I'm just going to press play on this playlist. If you put together a playlist of all 20 of your songs or just the 10 hymns in a different playlist, and you listen to those, like, you're going to start picking up on stuff without even intentionally picking up on it.
Is the file of the rotation of the songs that we want for next year, is that on that 2026 file that you put up? Because, like, there was an old contrast, like, Spotify.
Yes.
Had all of the songs, but it was also kind of like
It was kind of like a data bank. Yes.
collab thing where, like, people could throw in songs as well, like just songs that you like, because it was like a collaboration of, like, songs. There were a couple of different and then the Sunday morning one. It's like I'll listen through that throughout the week.
Yeah, in preparation.
If I know that I'm editing, so that I can, like, I'll sit down, I'll listen to the song, and then I'll, like, make my notes.
Yeah.
Just, like, big, small, or, like,
Yeah.
just, like, I'll be like, instrument comes in,
Yeah.
so, like, cue it, and then I'll try and listen through that. But if there's, like, a thing that we can do that maybe is, like, having all of the songs, because I'll only do that with, like,
The Sunday morning one. Are you specifically asking about the 2026 catalog that I sent you?
Yeah, so, like, the ones, the, like, 20 songs, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that, like, we know the ones that we're, like, we'll play, like, Highlands, or
Yeah.
Homecoming. It's like, I can play Homecoming.
All the time. I know it backwards and forwards.
Don't need to practice it. We played it
Yeah.
1,000 times. But, like, could I tell you what the other 18 songs on the catalog are for sure? No.
No.
So just to, like, know which ones and if
Are in the catalog. Yeah. To answer that question, there is a 2026 playlist. It just doesn't have any of the songs in it yet because I haven't gotten to it. But they will have the songs in there. And then from there on out, if there's ever an addition to that catalog, it will be heavily publicized to the band. My hope is that from year to year, half the songs or the catalog gets replaced, but the other half stays the same, so that veteran members of the team aren't flooded. And if they were to be replaced, I would assume if we've been adding songs throughout the year, then actually only like 25% of the playlist gets replaced when it comes to 2027. But there will be a playlist, and I actually like that idea that Chase brought up. There will probably be an extra playlist that is all the hymns and choruses that we want to memorize as well. So that will be a resource. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Just because I feel like that would be helpful, because when I'm just playing guitar for myself, I'll go through, and I want to play, like, worship songs. I will go through, like, in services.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody, like, I think when I was a director, I had, like, access to certain stuff that, like Sarah doesn't have access to every week's, like,
Yes.
stuff.
That is another thing. I'm trying to get all of you into the appropriate level of permissions so that you can go to the song section. They should be able to see that, and I don't know why they haven't. I probably just scheduled viewer in there, and it's weird. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do that when I, like, maybe it's a week that I get to play guitar just for myself for an hour
Yeah.
once a week. I will play whatever that Sunday's
Yeah.
mixes of, or, like, pick of songs is, just so that, like, I can have my own, like, personal also like, just in case I gotta play this like later on, I'll try and play it like whatever on my acoustic, and I'll try and play the bass just for fun. But like that's something that Sarah can't see.
Yeah,
Like so I don't know. I think that might be
that would be really helpful.
to the band so that we can all just have like
A nice, rounded out resource.
playing that song just in case you're like, all right, I want to play. I'm practicing piano
Yeah.
for an hour or so. And then you just go through whatever the band is playing.
This is a good question for you. You might know it better than I do. Is there a way to make like a little tag on a song that allows it to be seen within the whole list of songs as like this is the 2026 catalog? Do you know if there's a way to
I
like
think you can add notes in Planning Center.
add a note to it or something? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if there's a way to like sort them in this planning center to see the songs of 2026. But if there is a way, I'll try to find it, and that would be even more helpful. But updating people's permissions. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I know you guys are
Good note.
using Prime. Do you use Prime set lists?
We do. Yeah.
Cool.
So I could make a set list that has all of our 2026 songs in there as well.
Yeah, I think
another thing to
when
do.
we had Prime, we did a set list for all the people that would use it to go back and listen to each tracks, and I would take out the songs that we wouldn't do anymore.
Unfortunately, also though, we do have a lot of Android users,
Yeah.
which it's a whole.
I always
other
just told
challenge
them to
with it.
borrow their wife's iPad or something. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everyone can do that.
Same thing.
General staff thing should be every single person should be a viewer of Sarah's, not just
Like every volunteer.
every volunteer that is using Planning Center services should be a viewer.
I would baseline agree with that. I do think there might be a few exceptions, and I can't tell you why, but I feel like ministry experience would make a case for sometimes. Yeah, I think that's where my brain is ending up for some reason, but I do agree with the premise that you're presenting. Yeah. 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 No. I appreciate the insight.
No, and honestly, this brings up a great point of communication from MDs to worship leader, is having the clear, open communication. And we'll dive deeper into this, but as an MD, and obviously if you're not on staff or if you're not in the day-to-day or weekly workings of Sundays at your church, having clear communication of like letting TJ know, or if you guys get someone else at some point, be like, hey, like I want to get better at what I'm doing, and this is what we need, and just having that communication, because it's not just on a Sunday, it's not just on the week that you're scheduled. Like you're saying yes to a position that is walking next to your worship leader or your worship director, TJ over here, to where you want to make sure you get all the resources and materials that you need. No, but that's great. Question for you guys. If you were playing a song on a Sunday and the tracks kept going and the click kept going, but the cue stopped, would you panic, or would you know what was next?
Depends if I've heard the song before, Yeah, now it's separate. You can turn it down to that.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's when you notice the cues are off with what you're doing.
Yep.
But that doesn't necessarily inhibit you from knowing what's next. Yeah. Unless the worship leader were to throw
Absolutely. So put yourself in now that you guys are thinking like MDs, take yourself out of that for a second and just imagine you're whatever instrument you are on a Sunday, and then that goes out. Maybe there's an MD, maybe there's not. Then you're kind of like, well, I don't know what's next. Like, I knew the song, but I knew the cue was going to tell me when we were going into the chorus, or I didn't know there was a second tag here instead of just one. So I think as MDs, as we kind of like think about learning songs, what's in our rotation, what am I working on, it's like knowing what your arrangement is without the crux of a click and cue, because sometimes technology can fail us, and when that happens, you guys are the ones that become the trusted person that can steady the team through those moments. So again, that just goes back to like, what are ways, because if you got the time and you want to do it, like, please sit down, work on these songs. Totally, you can do that. If you're kind of like me, who was doing a little bit of both, or just not had the time for one and just want to stick the other, just listen to what you got. You kind of get familiar with it. You kind of just stop truly thinking, because it does get to a point, and I'm sure you guys experience this as musicians, but you kind of, everyone's like, wow, you got that click in your ear. It's like, I can feel it. I usually don't hear it, because we hear it so often that it kind of just becomes a part of what we do. Yeah, and the cues kind of become the same thing. And in some cases, when the tracks go out, you got to be the cues, because you don't want 8 of you guessing on stage what's coming up next. You want someone to be like, and you don't want the worship leader to turn around like, we're going to the chorus,
Or every part of the song is like, the worship leader sings the next line of the next chorus, and it's like, and it happens every time. It's like, everyone is like, oh, I just don't think they know where they're going at all.
So these are the super basics. So this is not really what is a music director not. This is like the core responsibility of a music director. Like, what should we know? And it's just what songs we're doing, how, like, what is the song without cues? If I had to replace it, can I do it? I'm gonna, and you can stop me if you want, but I'm gonna push us a little bit farther. And once, as you guys continue to grow, things to start also working on, kind of back to, how we were the way we were when I had to do all of this, was not only knowing my parts, but knowing other people's parts to a certain extent. That's obviously a lot more work. That's a lot more of that trust. But think about it in a way of, like, you're playing on a Sunday, and maybe you're playing piano or whatever, and you have a guitar player, and you're playing Reckless Love, which has a very clear guitar lead line in the beginning of the song. And they come in and they just start strumming some chords. And you're just like, yeah, that song doesn't sound the same without that lead line. Did you practice it? And they're like, yeah, I practiced it. Or like, I just didn't know if I was supposed to play it or not. And so, like, as an MD, and a worship leader usually does this too, but having that ability to go to your other people on your team and be like, hey, like, I think we're missing that part. Did you know that? Or like, can you take a second and learn it if you think they're capable of doing that? So that's definitely like as you continue to work on this, like, that's like a push of like, hey, if you want to get to that point, like, go ahead and start thinking about more than just what you're playing and what the actual song is.
To give a quick distinction,
Yes.
when I first started to learn what MD meant, I thought it meant what I would have first heard Chase say, which is, I need to know other people's parts, as in I need to be able to play other people's parts, and that is not what he's asking, or that I would ever ask of you guys. It's more so knowing what is the song if it doesn't have that part in it. Like, we're in What a God, and we're to that big crash part, and the drummer's just given a backbeat, having the awareness to know that the song doesn't have the same impact without that, and being able to at least recognize that to an extent where I don't need you to be able to teach that other person how to do that part. I just need you to maybe remember that there might be some tuning up that we have to do with walking the band to the destination of having this song Sunday ready. mind if I take that
Go ahead.
first? The quickest answer is that is something that I should be dealing with, I feel like, for the most part. Now, there is an extent where it's like you might be the first one to get there, like I'm already working with someone else, and you're just like, hey, did you have this part? And they shoot back, and they're like, I worked 72 hours this week. Absolutely not. That, first off, that attitude, immediate attitude, if it was like a quick, stark attitude shift where it's like a bite back almost, that's something that I would have to address quickly, because that is almost communicating resentment rather than excitement to worship. But to answer, I think, the heart of your question, I think we are not Hillsong. We are not going to be putting out albums. We're not going to be putting on concerts. The reason is we don't put on worship concerts, right? We put on worship nights, and there's a difference. So I think the attitude of it is, I get that you had 72 hours, totally get that. I think what helps us is a lot of the songs that we have, the parts can be played by piano or electric guitar. So maybe electric guitar didn't have the bandwidth, but piano might, and that's okay. At the end of the day, if the bandwidth is not there, the bandwidth isn't there, and then we might have to have a bigger conversation where it's like, do you have enough bandwidth to just be on the band at all? If you worked 72 hours, likelihood is you didn't have enough time to look at the songs at all. You came to practice completely unprepared. And so that itself was very hard to do. And that's why I respect people that back away when they don't have the bandwidth to be a part of worship for that season, whether it's learning the part or whether it's being prepared or whatnot. I respect that because they understand their priorities, as long as they're not being snide about it. They understand their priorities as my responsibility is to my family, my responsibility is to God, my responsibility is to myself, to not build resentment against the church. I feel like a lot of church musicians build that resentment so quickly because they feel like the church has quickly become a job for them rather than an opportunity to serve and to lead. And so, yeah, that one part, it sucks to not have it, and we would like to have it if you have 10 minutes to sit down and learn it. Like, for instance, I get paid to do this, but this Sunday, I did not go into it knowing this. Didn't know that at all. I sat down in between second and third service because I recognized the band needed me to be able to push them into that moment. So I sat down for 5 minutes in between services just and practiced that, and I got the part down. It doesn't take an extraordinary amount of time to get the part down unless it's like some crazy Chuck level electric guitar line. But at the end of the day, if they feel like they don't have the bandwidth to learn that part, there might be a bigger question to have. And so if it's straight up right in the front, I don't have the bandwidth for this, that's okay. Let's not push for it. I'd rather you worship in this moment. But let's also understand that everyone is playing a part. Everyone on the stage is a part instrument. You are leading with a part, whether you're doing a crashes or you're playing the specific thing on the keyboard. Chords themselves are a part. You're laying the backbone. So it's just how you kind of approach it in total.
But there's just one time I was in D, and the piano player wasn't there for Thursday practice, and then Sunday morning.
Oh, I remember this exact moment. Oh. No, I heard about this moment. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to be fair, also for you, I didn't set you up that way. I didn't set you up well because that piano player getting to Sunday morning and not knowing that part was technically my fault. I had a conversation being like, yeah, you can't make it to Thursday night. That's okay. Just make sure you come prepared on Sunday. And I thought that was enough for that person to understand what that meant. And so that's why I say bring it to me, because that was my fault. I didn't set you up for the best case scenario, and the band's trust suffered because of that. Did I expect him to be the most perfect piano player in the whole world? No. And of course, I wanted him to have the bandwidth, so I didn't want him to be there on Thursday night. And we were also pressed for a piano player. We didn't have time to find a new one, and that's okay. We take those mistakes, and we not even mistakes. We take those punches as we get them. I wasn't going to require him to do this, this, and this, and this, but I did at least. I thought he had more bandwidth leading up to Sunday to prepare for you guys well, and that was my fault in the large scheme of things. What were you going to say?
Two things. One, it's so easy to get up, but I'm
Yeah.
going to try to. One, we all did sign something that said what the expectations of the
Yeah.
So, like, you having that expectation is okay, but I think we just need to be reminded of the expectations we signed
Yeah.
agree to regularly. And two, I think another option, and it's case-by-case basis, but you can, a lot of times, majorly simplify
Yeah.
lead lines.
Yeah.
Especially on piano, just like taking a hand away, or like just playing chords in a hand, and or you know, just I don't know.
Taking every other beat away. Yeah.
At rehearsal and telling the piano player, just play this instead of this.
Yeah.
And then he was able to do it. Just fine.
And then again, to be fair to you, if I was there in that instance picking up on that, I would have recognized we don't have enough time to handle this. So we need to simplify regardless. Should we have a better conversation later on about like, hey, this is the part I was hoping that you would have had it down by Sunday? Sure. But when it came time to, we got go time in 20 minutes, we just got to go. We can't. Let's focus on worshiping the best we can in spite of not being as prepared as we could be. So that we kind of get rid of some of the confusion. But at the end of the day, let's just do this thing. You know what I mean? So again, I don't think that scenario was you or Brandon's fault. It was more, honestly, the worship. Again, that distinction between worship coordinator and MD. MD, you can handle it kind of in the moment, spur them onto it, but it's also not your job to make sure that it's like uphold the law type of thing.
And that truly just goes back to building trust with your team. Obviously, you know, someone like TJ, everyone kind of like already automatically trusts him, even if he doesn't deserve it. But when you're introducing a role like this and people are getting more used to having MDs, it's just like your team's got to trust you. You got to have those conversations. And in those moments, sometimes it's just like, you know, let's just do this, the easy thing now, and this is a conversation for later, and just trying to decipher that.
And that was the early days of MDing too. So the band didn't even fully understand what an MD meant. That might have been his first or second time ever having an MD. So again, the standard that he was held to, maybe he should have had that part down. But
So I'll move us along here. So to wrap up knowing the songs, just kind of my last little tidbit on that is our preparation brings authority and it brings peace. And that's to our team. When we're prepared, people will recognize our authority when we're making calls, and it'll also give them peace to truly do what we're here to do, and that's worship. We're not here to hash out the songs in a service. You know, we're here to ultimately praise and worship God through what we're doing. All right, so communicating dynamics. We listen to our songs, we know the songs, we try to play our parts as best we can, but sometimes the album just doesn't correctly display what a live dynamic should be. I feel like, you know, when you listen to a record and you go to a concert, it's just so different. Obviously, this isn't a concert setting, but when you're involved and like you're reading the room, you truly as an MD can control the dynamics. And this will go a little bit apart. This will be the lead into like how we work along with the worship leader in this too, and reading the room and what those moments look like. But here's some practical things that we can say as MDs to build dynamics. So first and foremost, when I'm MDing, my priority goes to the drummer and the back line. Usually vocals, most of the time, you know, worship leaders, they're pretty prepared, so I could care less what they're doing when I'm talking in this context. don't take that as like, I don't care what they're doing. This is like, when I'm speaking of dynamics, I want my back line to be in sync. Here's some pretty simple terms that I encourage you to have conversations, you too, TJ, with the team of like, these are what these words mean. So if you hear it, this is what it is. Obviously pretty simple, build, or build this chorus, build this bridge. And you'll figure out what that means for you. That means something different for every team, what an actual build feels like. But I'm going to dive deeper on words that go along with build. So this is a term that is directly correlated with drummers. It's called crack it. Think of a moment where a drummer is drumming and you're getting ready to go into a big build on the last bridge, and they're like, boom. So it's just like the crack it is like, hey, like you're getting ready to hit hard and bring that dynamic so down so quick, and then you bring it up so fast. So that word crack it is something that, one, if you hear it in the moment, it actually kind of pumps you up. You're like, we're going to crack it, let's go. So you get excited. More simple terms, bring it down, slow it down, chill out. I've used that one before too. These seem really simple, and they're designed to be that way because in the moment, our brains are already handling 5 other things while we're on stage, and we want just the simplest things. And truly, over time, these words will become second nature to everyone. And as soon as but the reason you want these words in place is because you want repetition. You don't want to be saying something different every time you're emptying. Now, the first couple times as you're experimenting with the words that your team can understand or that you're saying, totally okay. But over time, you want to be pretty repetitive on what you say.
And the hardest challenge that we will have is we have 5 different MDs. So your approach to this vocabulary could vary between you all 5. So we'll have more conversations about kind of what is the most reliable term to use in each circumstance. That kind of helps the team unify even with different MDs.
Yep. Other ones are drums 2 and 4. What that means is the drummer is going to hit the kick. They're going to hit 2 toms at the same time. Boom. But they're going to do it on beat 2 and 4. So I'm not going to go, drummer, you're going to hit the kick and the tom and the floor tom on the 2 and the 4 of the beat. It's like as soon as I communicate with my drummer, drums 2 and 4, like they're already going to like, bah. They're already there. Another one for the drummer is 4 on the floor. Boom, 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 boom. So you as soon as you make that call, it's simple. You know what your drums are going to do. Your drummers know what you're calling for. Pads only. So these are a little bit different, and you guys, I'm gonna let you completely, on a different night, just kind of like digest these and come up with the terms that fit best for you guys and your team. But if you've kind of noticed a theme, kind of like with the drums, like the kick, the rack tom, the floor tom, for that call, it's the same thing. So like if I say pads only, I'm not actually just asking for the pads only of like the track or whatever. Like I'm basically saying we're bringing this down. The piano's filling out the moment. There's pad in the background. Guitars are doing some swells. It's like we're being spacey. So whatever that word is for you. And that's kind of how this terminology works, is you're trying to find words that your team knows that doesn't drop down to completely. Now, that's when we can communicate, say like we really only wanted pad here. I'm gonna say like everybody out, pad only. Like that seems clear. Same thing if I'm like vocals only, or like, hey, drums are coming in on this. Like that, those are pretty simple conversationalist stuff that like you can communicate that pretty quick. Why are dynamics important? Because good dynamics equal emotionally clear worship moments. If you've ever, just sat on a Sunday and Praise the Name is a great example, because that song, if you get up there, it's just chug, chug, chug until the song's over. And as someone that's like really trying to worship, or someone that's in the moment, that can be so much more distracting and hurtful than it is helpful to what you're singing, because you're just like pound, 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 pound. and you get in naturally as humans, we kind of just disengage from that feeling and that vibe. So being able to create moments in the room with our dynamics and pushing our team to go beyond what is in the recording can really make us as a team feel like we're just jiving. We feel like a rock and roll group that has been playing together for 10 years because you get to drop things down more and bring them up quicker and just push them, make them more excited. So dynamics are a big thing as MDs. It's like we want to find ways to control that. I know you and I talked about this a little bit, and I know you guys are kind of moving in the direction of the Nashville number system. So kind of back to, so kind of back to this picture. The Nashville number system was the one and only way that I was able to learn all those songs. Whether you guys do chords or Nashville number system, I'm not here to push one or the other. Obviously, no, I take that back. I'm pushing the Nashville number system.
Push the Nashville number system.
It's because it's the easiest. And go ahead and play that video with all the numbers.
3, 4. Two more times. 3, 4. 3, 2.
Imagine going A flat, B flat, C. You're just like. Yeah, that's a crazy example of a lot of different chords that are thrown in a very short amount of time. But the reason, whether you get to the Nashville number system or not, but having that clear communication with your team, whether the tracks. So let's simplify what we just saw, because that is pretty crazy. Tracks go out, or you're in rehearsal and someone's playing it and they know the Nashville number system, but maybe they didn't learn the song as well. This kind of goes off of you, like how as MDs can we encourage our team to play better or to play what they're supposed to? Maybe they didn't learn it well. If you're like, hey man, like that bridge is actually just the 1 6 5 4, just over and over again, and then on the very last one we go to the 4 flat or the 1/3, and they're just like, oh cool, like that's just a repeating, and they're kind of just in it. And then if they're still not getting it rehearsal and in the service, like I think we did this even the worship night. I started calling numbers during one of the bridges just to remind everyone as we're doing it. Even if
he was reminding me specifically.
even if everyone came in knowing it, it's like knowing that there's changes. So for example, you guys play a lot of songs with bridges that the first half of the bridge is like holding the 1, or it's like going from the 1 and the 5, and then you get to the second half of the bridge, and now you're doing like 6 5 4 1, 6 5 4 1, or whatever it is. The team might know it, but just like calling that transition and just saying the numbers is like such a great reminder to your team as you're doing it, because they can be less of like what's happening next and more of like we're in this moment, we're praising God, and I don't have to worry about playing the wrong notes, because we're still going to play wrong notes. Who cares?
Yeah, when you trusted Brandon to be able to lead you through that moment, and he would make it crystal clear when that change would happen, you were able to completely shift your approach to worship. You could actually worship in those moments instead of count this bridge, this bridge, this bridge, now this bridge. It's super, yeah.
Here's a fun, extreme story that has happened to us on different occasions, but this one is probably the craziest. Do you guys know the song "Do It Again" by Elevation? Dun, 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 dun. So that was released on a Saturday night, and we show up Sunday morning, and we already went through 3 services. and our pastor comes out in the fourth service, and we're doing our tags, and he goes, I just heard this song that was released by our friends over at Elevation, and we're going to play it right now. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't even think I've heard the song yet. It literally was just released 8 hours before. And I'm literally like behind my guitar, just like got my Spotify open, like dun, 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 dun. But like this kind of goes back to repetition of like you start to hear the chords, and I'm like, okay, that's like 3 3 4 4 3 3 4 4 like 7 7 7 1, and you're like oh, like that starts to make sense. And now I'm like all right, team, like this is how it sounds, da, 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 da. And here's the chords, and I just start calling out the numbers before we start playing, and then I'm kind of like getting affirmation from them, like, okay, yeah, these are the numbers. But then, like, as we're playing it, I'm still like going like 1, like, you know, whatever, 3 3 4 4, and everyone's like just hitting it, and it was terrible. We did not do a good job, but it was.
Did they just like throw the numbers up there, and then your singers were supposed to just like
Oh yeah. Yeah. You see me move, you move the mountains. So it's just like. And we didn't do it the other 3 services. It was literally just for that service. And that kind of goes to like what is the Holy Spirit calling in the moment? Like we're truly like every Sunday morning when I meet with my team, I always, you know, say this in some form or another, but I'm like I just want to encourage you guys, and I just want to pray to God right now. Like, we are here doing your will. God, this service is for you. Do with it as you please. Like, I don't want to stand in the way of what you have in store. And so for that specific service, that song got put on our pastor's heart, so we had to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like...
So that's what I was just about to say. Yeah, I think, too... something that I would hesitantly say, but I'll say it with my full chest. I don't think the Holy Spirit will lead you into a moment that he has not prepared you for. And in that instance, it might have went terribly, might have went awfully, but God did give Chase the skills to learn that song in that moment. Did it go great? It could have gone better.
It sounded like the song.
It sounded at least close. But that's I don't think God will lead you into a moment, Sunday, worship night, in your own lives that he has not already prepared you for in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And so I think knowing that fact, knowing what your destiny is, what your identity is as a child of God, as a servant who has been given the skills to do this well, kind of spurs you on with some sort of confidence that allows you to hold strong to him in those moments. Are we going to ask you to ever do that? No, never. Because I don't want to do that. That sounds awful. But I think there is something to be said that God will not leave you high and dry. He will give you the skills. The only time that isn't applicable is out of your own disobedience, if that makes sense. Out of your own neglectful participation of your gifts, or your own disobedience of being prepared. Like, not being prepared as in, like, the worship leader asked you to learn 5 different things and you were supposed to, like, come knowing them. It's more like, yeah, I knew I should have practiced this week, but I'd totally rather sitting in front of the TV instead. You know, that is a disobedient heart rather than a church manipulated heart.
Yeah, and I use that as an example to show the absolute extreme side of, like, how we communicate and, like, trying to, you know, make sure that we can kind of talk our team through it, and kind of what you're going off of too. Like, I agree, like, that is ridiculous. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, who, like, in that moment, maybe I'm like, that was so unnecessary. That was challenging. I can't believe you asked us to do that. But at the same time, I'm like, well, maybe someone was out there that their life was just changed because they heard those lyrics.
Or, in the opposite effect, someone's life was changed because they realized church wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Someone saw the absolute crap show that might have been and was like, you know what, we're just a bunch of people here to love Jesus. And I think there's something beautiful out of that too. But I'm never going to ask you to play a song that dropped 8 hours ago, okay? Trey might, no.
No, so that's more or less, you know, what's the big picture of what we're doing. and how as MDs can we be prepared to be ready for the moment. I know we're running out of time, so I'm gonna skip.
I have a really like back to basics question here.
Yeah.
That I think would be really helpful just to hear out loud for the music theory curious out there, which I am one. I have been terrified of those two words for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Because they have kind
Music theory?
yeah, they're kind of like this is very pessimistic, like they demystify like
Ah.
emotional aspect of it, and just like the ways that I have learned music for 27 years, like this is a new thing. Okay, just if you were to learn like basic music theory and the national number system like today, what's like the best way to just do it? Because there's a million YouTube videos, there's a million things
Yeah.
out there. How do you do it?
I wholeheartedly I got my college education in audio engineering, and I had to take 3 years of music theory, and I suck at music theory. I barely passed the classes, but the national number system like simplifies it in a way that's kind of. I'm gonna grab the guitar real quick.
If you're scared about it, I taught it to Trevor in 2 days. So.
The biggest thing was like, if someone tells me in the key of C, like, I know that's a C. So like, as soon as I figured out little keys, so like on guitar, like this is very like crash course 101 of national number. Say we're the key of A, and like my root note is right here. I made like a little thing in my head, like if I go directly below to the D, that's my 4. Once you find your 4, you can find your 5 and your 6 and whatnot. So I found ways that were like cheats outside of music theory to know where my 5 and my 1 were on whatever chord I was playing. And so it just kind of gave me this very quick ways, because trust me, like music theory still goes way over my head. But if you can find little cheats that gets you to where you want to go.
You're training your ears to know what chords you're hearing, and that will just naturally help you learn the numbers.
Yeah.
And then you're not really memorizing chords anymore. You're just memorizing song stuff.
And you're like getting better at anticipating stuff.
Yes.
To
absolutely.
quickly alter something you said, I think that I hold dear. I think that is worshipful. Just FYI. I think sitting down and learning music theory can actually be a worshipful event. Do I think it's tedious? 100%. Learning my keys is awful. But my willingness to use a skill for God, I think can be classified as worship. I think it's about the heart that you portray when doing something like that.
Absolutely. And I feel like music theory is such, like you said, a scary word. And a lot of the team don't want to tackle that. And I don't want to tackle that. But if you simplify it the best you can, and I mean, everyone can count. So like once you know you're one, like if you know how to play an instrument and you can find the key that you're in. Now, if you're playing lead lines, it's a little bit more difficult because you got to find where your roots are for your lines whenever you change keys or whatnot. But for the general structure of just chords, like if you can just figure out that cheat, and I can show you a cheat on the piano and a cheat on the guitar, like you're pretty much set. Like I don't even, like, if I knew the numbers to the song and I came in and someone was like, we're in the key of C, and then the next service we're going to be in the key of E flat, I'll be fine. So it's just kind of like, it's a lot easier to memorize numbers too rather than chord names, in my opinion, as well. You can say no.
You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to get up. Actually,
I just I am so passionate about this stuff in the way. No, it's just absolutely. Oh, were you gonna pee outside? Just you can pee outside.
Just go all the way down to the NPR room.
This is Upper Arlington. I don't know if we're allowed to do that here.
Yeah, you'll definitely get arrested.
We can. I live kind of in the country. I'm allowed to do it out there. I won't hit on anything important while he's peeing, but.
Can I go back to something you talked about earlier, which
No.
you guys don't have a full grasp on some of what just
Dope.
I am someone that really struggles with worshiping when I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the less prepared I am, obviously, like, the harder it is.
Yeah.
And it's not like I've never been able to, but, like, when I have a lot that I have to
Think about and process and.
especially when I'm empty,
Mm-hmm.
I never find myself to be worshiping,
Yeah.
even if that, maybe I'm not even stressed,
Yeah.
but I'm just so focused.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe to what you're saying, I need to open up my idea of what worship looks like.
Mm-hmm.
What is your process or experience with that?
For the pod, Lucas is asking about how to worship when there's so many things to juggle inside of a worship environment. Great question. I'm sure Chase has quite a bit to probably speak on that. I think for me personally, it definitely comes down to how am I approaching my worship environment? Am I letting this be a moment that I'm open-handed with or that I'm really close-handed with? Like, I want things to go the way that I've prepared them, the way that I've played them, the way that I've planned them. And so I'll consistently find weeks where I am not, if I were to be honest with myself, consistently worship-hearted. But I think there are steps you can take to getting there. The first is take a breath. I think, honestly, just connecting your body to the moment, just that big, deep breath will connect you to how your fingers are feeling, and obviously that is like a hyper spiritualized way of thinking about it. I just think taking a breath, man, don't let it be something that has to be correct all the time. I think there's beauty in mistakes, honest mistakes. I think there's beauty in being open-handed with what you're doing. And then when it comes to a Sunday morning, especially if you're MDing, being prepared helps a lot. Being prepared, knowing what you're going to do when you go to it next helps a lot. And then I think the biggest trick that I would say, if I'm speaking just off the top of my head, is probably connecting to what the other band members are doing. So that's a hard one to visualize sometimes. But this specifically, if I were to talk about the most impactful moment that I've had in the last month of leading worship, or specifically MDing, because it was yesterday, Nick Bier himself jumped to a crazy, awesome vocal part in You Save Me? Or Holy Spirit? Holy Spirit. I was in that moment, I was very focused on what was coming next. I was calling out a build. I was calling out a drop. I was calling out a drum solo for that song too as well. And I was thinking about all these things that were happening. And I also too, I'm not a native piano player. So I was just making sure I didn't screw up my block chords at that moment. And then I heard Nick's voice cut through the mix. And I heard him just kind of soar into his like perfect vocal range. I heard him just be so confident with it and so worshipful in that moment with it. And maybe he wasn't in the best space mentally. Maybe he was really thinking about what he was singing. But when I heard him giving his gifts to God in that way, it elevated me out of where I was and allowed me to be where God was, if that makes sense. It took me out of my perfectionism and placed me in his beauty, if that makes sense. Obviously, you have to be able to do it like when you're alone too. Like it can't just be when other people are carrying you to do it type of thing. But I think having a band that you trust, having an MD that you trust, having a worship leader that you trust will take you to places that alone we can't necessarily always find, because that's why we're a body, that's why we're a community. We build each other up, we carry each other's burdens, we allow each other to make mistakes, and when we do that, we allow each other to also breathe. Because the minute I honestly felt myself in that moment when he did that jump, the first thing that happened is, and then the second thing was, I flashed him the biggest smile that he never saw, and then I started like jumping into chords, and it was so dope. And it was because he was willing to use his gifts for God, and I've truly felt that in the moment. That's what he did. Is that super helpful, super practical? Not even a little bit, and I apologize for that. But I think there is something to be said about the open-handedness, the community of it all.
Have you heard the word tehillah before?
What?
Tehillah.
No, I have not.
I'm going to repeat that for the pod. No, I'm kidding. It's a Hebrew word for speaking or singing out our own worship that's not written, or what we're doing in that moment. So when you hear a worship leader and like we're doing like an instrumental, and they're just going like, they're singing whatever. They're singing, Jesus, thank you, God, you're the best, whatever they're singing, like that's them practicing tehillah. And sometimes even when I'm on guitar or I'm MDing, like finding that moment where like you practice that tehillah, whether that's just like looking around and just like, thank you, God, like thank you for like this moment, thank you for like being in this moment with you. And like that right there is like maybe all the worship that you needed. So that's kind of like something practical that I've always had, that like it does take practice because it's not natural. I'm working through it with our worship leaders right now because I'm making them actually do it on a microphone. But like in the band, I'm like, guys, why aren't we practicing tehillah? I don't tell that to my church because they think I'm saying tequila. But but yeah, that's kind of like something at the core.
I think it raises the question once again, are you in your moment or are you in the moment? I'm throwing out a lot of like pastor like TikTok clips at you for a second. I think that distinction is, if you're in your moment, you're thinking about, what am I doing? And when you're practicing tehillah, correct?
Yep.
You're participating in the moment that's going on. And I think there's a difference.
For sure. Cool. I got a couple more things. So planning center. Ooh. That is our life on a Sunday. And as MDs, this needs to be our dictionary of what is happening, written down, with the ability of like understanding things can change in a moment. But what I'm truly talking about in this, as MDs, what's another part of our role? And this could totally be different for you. That's okay. I'm going to kind of explain how it was for us and how it is at Three Creeks. But essentially, when I create a service and I think about a service and I'm communicating key parts with people, I want them to know and like also be like, okay, I told them, and they can pull up Planning Center and they can see it there too. As MDs, there's things that we need to know to communicate to the band, because we don't want people guessing like, am I supposed to walk off stage after this song? Is there going to be a moment here where I'm supposed to keep playing the piano? So as an MD, it's like if we're getting ready for Sunday, and this sounds like it's a lot, and it might be at first, but after practice, it's literally like 5 minutes on your day. You look through Planning Center, and you can get used to, like, for example, for us, we have things in here like worship leader transition into a video, into something, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, I see message bumper. It doesn't say, when are we coming off stage, details like that, but that's when like I'm communicating with TJ or whoever, and I'm starting to get used to what our plans are, and I know as the MD when I'm on stage where we're going next in the service, and also not being the guy that's pulling up their phone, scrolling through Planning Center while we're on stage, and which you can do that. I've done it before, but at the same time, it's like we want to know what's coming up outside of music stuff, because we are not only music directing our team, we're kind of directing our team through the service. I did that a lot in worship night, kind of just like informed everyone, like, this is the next song. This is the key that we're in. Band, we're going to
Which was a lifesaver, by the way.
We're going to stand on stage for 5 minutes. There's going to be a pastor coming up, so band or like worship leaders step back because Trey's walking up on stage. So it's kind of just making sure that we know what's going to happen on any given Sunday that we're on.
I also recognize that I'm learning just as much as you guys are. Like, I've seen Jeremy and yours now planning center, and I'm like, I could add a few more details in there for you guys. I could put a little more information up there. So
That's hard. That's harder for us, but it's
yeah. Yeah, Wednesday staff meeting, we do a lot of that. Yeah. Well, and I think, too, what is number one contributing factor to us not being able to trust Planning Center has been me thus far. I have been moving things around somewhat willy-nilly in a way that has allowed we've been trying out different ways where to put the host, where to incorporate Selah, where to incorporate a talking bit here or there, and that has significantly hindered our ability to trust Planning Center, and I recognize that. I think it is stabilizing now. We've done a lot better over the last 2-ish weeks to get that nailed in, but post-merge, even this was already kind of on the books mentally for me to do before the merge, and then the merge was kind of the excuse to do it because now we're a new church together, learning together. But yeah, blame me. Don't necessarily blame those that are changing things in the moment, because it is also technically my job to get Planning Center dialed in.
I mean, my planning center literally started looking like that like 4 months ago. Like I wasn't great at it. So, you know, that's kind of part of it. Like, communicate with TJ and kind of just let him know. And then same thing of like, remember our heart behind what we're doing and our preparation that we've been working on outside of when we are scheduled. Like, sometimes it is okay if something does change because you're ready for it. You already knew what was going to happen. And so if TJ is like, hey, we're not going to do that video anymore, we're just going to have a prayer time here, then you're like, oh, I knew where that video was anyway, so, like, you know, I'm on schedule. That not only provides freedom for yourself and less stress, but it also provides freedom for TJ in the service, and allows those moments to be created. So I don't know if you guys have this role. I don't think you do, because we don't either. But we're kind of working on implementing a service producer role, which is kind of like an MD for the service. They're kind of like in charge of like production team. They know every line of what the planning center is about. For MDs, we are. Huh?
We will be.
Nice.
When we bring on a part-time tech director.
Yep. So our MDs, what are we specifically in charge of, or what are we specifically focused on, is anything with our team as a band when we're up here and when we're down here. That's the transitions and the stuff that we want to be focused on. Also, it kind of just popped in my head because I forgot to say it. When we're communicating with our team in transitions, part of this also is kind of like body posture. I think I said this a couple times in the worship night. I'm like, guys, smile. Yeah. Or, like, I'm kind of just reminding our team constantly, like, why we're here, what are we doing, in a nice way. You know, I'll crack a joke every now and then, but usually I'm just, like, truly letting our team know, like, hey, if you were new here on a Sunday and you saw the band with their RB faces, you know, then you're kind of just like, oh, no one seems excited, so why should I be excited? So you know, as an MD, you're trying to remind your team on the little things that they probably forgot. And it seems like those are like extra stupid things that you don't really have to practice, but it's like, if you just remind them, then like you're kind of reminding yourself at the same time. Now, communication with the worship leader. How do we do that? in a set? How do we do that in rehearsal? How do we do that outside of services? This will be my last point. I'll do it in like 5 minutes. So you want to make sure you're aligned before the set. So mostly, like when you guys are implementing your hymns, TJ, I'm assuming, will probably come and be like, hey, we're planning some time for this hymn. And, you know, as an MD, like you're having that active communication. Now say you're doing the hymn and you just have a click going, you don't have cues, you're kind of calling it, the worship leader's calling it. Here's some practical on-stage communication between the worship leader. So when TJ's up here and say you're the MD back there, you don't want TJ to constantly be turning around like, hey, we're going to the chorus. Universally, chorus, C, whether it's upside down or right side up, behind the back. So worship leader's communication most of the time should be behind the back. Bridge, bridge, 2 fingers. Whether that's behind the back, whatever, or you hold it out or you hold it up. Just careful not to hold it in other weird positions. So bridge, chorus, tags, repeat, do that again. And this is basically like letting the whole team know, like, hey, heads up, like worship leader can call something here, but as an MD, our heads are always up and we're watching for if the worship leader is calling a moment. Down the road, and it might happen even sooner, but sometimes you guys get so in sync because your communication has been on point that like the MD will call something and the worship leader's like, I was about to call that, or like vice versa. So it's like you guys are kind of just like in track of each other. And here's where the trump is in terms of like who has the ability to be the final say in a moment because someone might not be agreeing. MDs, because we have the microphone, because we're in people's ears, if we say something, follow that. The worship leader could be like, maybe I didn't want to do that there, but in our MD role, we have to realize that because we have that authority, that when we say something, everyone is hearing it, and so we should follow it, because if we don't follow it, and the worship leader does their own thing, then it gets messy, and then people are like, oh, that wasn't it. So,
Which speaks to, in that moment, the trust that I have with all of you. I think none of you are here by accident, and I want you to take what he said very literally. I'm trusting you in that moment to be the steward of now you're getting cues from me is like where I think I might want us to go, but if we conflict and you have an idea, a God-given idea, I think step into that with authority, with a little bit of like, no, this is what we're doing, because that's why you're all here. You know what I mean? What were you going to say? Yeah. Oh, kind of let this moment be what it wants to be. MD, I trust you type of thing, like relinquishing control almost. I mean, we totally can. I think most of the time the moment never really needs that, because I feel like yeah. Well, and I think the difference is the worship leader is calling the shot to the MD. The MD is communicating it to the band. I don't necessarily think the band, unless they're dialed in and not staring at their chord sheets, which, as we all know, is not happening. I don't know if the band will ever really notice the worship leader give that cue behind their back. But yes, I do understand the need that you're communicating. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, no. I completely get what you're saying. I think the only thing that is maybe not being taken into consideration for that specific moment in time is what we are kind of addressing in that moment. Is this is the more free flowy, we're calling things by seat of our pants type of thing, into where what we have prepared is kind of already being thrown out the window, and so we are kind of just walking through this together, and that's kind of where your responsibility as MDs. The preparation is part of it, but the attention to the moment is equally as important. So I don't think there will be a time where the moment and the preparation completely conflict in such a way that you are talking about this like complete overstimulation of cues and ingesting information. I think it can happen with a band that is not completely trusting one another, completely trusting the MD or the worship leaders. Where there is confusion like that, but I think what he's talking about when you kind of step into that, this is what we're doing. And I know that because of A, either my preparation, or B, my trust in the moment of what's about to happen. When you call that shot as an MD, you're calling it, and that's happening. Whether we're going back to what you prepared or what you feel is appropriate for the moment is up to your discretion, really. Your approach to what the worship environment needs at that moment.
There's different moments where, like, I've called something because I felt it, and usually, like, if you're feeling it, you're not. 9 times out of 10, you're not the only one feeling it. Yeah. So, like, feeling because you know you're trusted, because you're bold in that moment. Just believe, and maybe you have a conversation after and no one else is feeling it. Cool, whatever. But just in that moment, believe that everyone else is also feeling that. And that they're just going along with you. And truly, like, the worship leader, they'll make cues on, like, for example, like, you're singing, and they're like they'll start, like, a bridge. They're like, let's sing that again. Let's sing that bridge again. Like, that's a cue to you. And as an MD, you should communicate that, even though the worship leader just said it. You should be like, all right, band, we're doing that chorus again. 3, 4. Then you're kind of following them, and then in moments where they don't want to verbally say something to the congregation, they're just like, do that bridge again, we're going to the bridge. Or like, say we just brought the moment down and the worship leader's like, where are we going? When you have that relationship with the worship leader, there's kind of like a mutual respect that's already created. If both the worship leaders and the MDs come at this subject with the idea that, hey, like, we're feeding off each other here, and at the end of the day, because you're the one that is saying something to the team, like, I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to try my best to communicate with you. I've MD'd for some really cool people, and even in those moments where I'm like, they have 1,000% authority over what I could ever say in this moment, but I'm just going to say it because that's kind of where we're going. Like, we need to have this down bridge again, and they're kind of like going off of it, and you feed off each other in a way. And they respect your calls, but there's definitely gonna be moments where they're like, no, I'm not feeling that. Like, and the hand signals for that are actually just like, hey, like, we're bringing this down. One of our worship leaders, his thing was like, every time he lifted up his guitar head, we were like, we're bringing it down. So, just it's all. I would say missing of a cue is kind of around, like, we all kind of agreed like that we're not in the right spot, and we missed that cue. So now I'm going to call something to get us in the right spot. I'm going to tell us to hold a note, or hold this pad a little bit longer, or give a little bit more space here so we can gain our chips and get back together to the same spot.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why we're trying to unify it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. This is the breaking of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Me, specifically. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be a million mistakes before there's. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's an absolute fair assumption. I don't think we're going to get this overnight. I don't think it's going to be perfect overnight. I don't think it's going to be perfect a year from now. The only reason we're having this meeting is because I recognize the potential for us to have an environment that is. I should have said this at the beginning. I recognize the potential for us to have a worship atmosphere and a band that trusts each other so much that wherever we go, we're going together. It's like that scene in Endgame when Tony's like, we'll lose. And Captain America's like, we'll do that together too. And it's like, well, yeah, we might screw up. And they definitely did lose, right? But at the end of the day, if we're going at this mission together with the vision that we might make mistakes, but we're using our gifts in such a way that is powerfully impacting every single one of us. Because think about the impact that you all as MDs have on someone who's just learning to be a part of Trevor, for instance. He's learning bass right now. He gets up here, he hears your call outs, he starts to trust you, he starts to feel that moment when it has transcended our abilities as just imperfect human beings, and he notices the way that God is working in that. And then let's say, I don't want this to ever happen, but let's say he moves away and he joins another band or whatever. He has a part of that band with him now. He understands how worship can look. You know what I mean? And I think that's the responsibility we have together as building what this can be. It can be something where we're completely unified in a direction, and even when we're not completely unified in the practical application of something, we're unified in the vision. And that vision will keep us on course together, whether it's in the moment or it's on the meta level of things.
Can I leave us with just like a practical, let's just pretend you guys haven't implemented any MDs. You haven't done it once. What do I focus on first? What do we try first? And where do we try it? Should I try it in a service? Sure. Should I try it in rehearsal? Definitely. And don't, rehearsal is a space where you can make whatever call you want, and if it fails, cool. No one heard it. Practically, where does my brain go if I was starting from scratch today? I would focus first on dynamics and communicating and encouraging my team through a set. Those are things that you can call out that don't change the song, that don't ruin anything, and it gets you working on playing your instrument and speaking and having your team hear what you're saying. Dynamics are the actual first thing that people will be out here be like, wow, that was like hill, valley, just like up and down, like that was great. So that's practically where I would go first. A lot of that encouragement, yep, good, keep going, like bigger, come on. Like those are the encouragement words that you can constantly be saying when you're on the microphone that just lets everyone know it's going great. I know we dove deep in a lot of when things go wrong and we're changing stuff. But at the core, that's where we should start, because 9 times out of 10, our track rig's going to work. The tracks are going to be fine. The cues are there. People are going to hear that. Now, where do you go from there? Then you start building on your knowledge of stuff over time, the songs that you're doing, how the song structure goes, people's parts, if you really want to push yourself. And then you can start calling out, some chord changes or reminding people the chords are changing for this bridge. Get ready for that minor 7 that's coming up. And just letting them know. And then after that, continuing to get ready for these spiritual moments and these things that you're working with the worship leader. That's kind of the creme de la crop of MDing, is really being able to call those moments and just getting yourself to a place where it's okay to be nervous to make a call, but stand by your call. If you're going to tell somebody something, it doesn't have a lot of weight if 10 minutes later you're like, I'm backtracking, I didn't mean to say that to you. It's once you make the call, live with that call And if it's a bad call, who cares? You'll do a better one next time. And that's kind of just like step by step, treat it like what you can, and just talk as much as you can. Get to the point where you are the click in your band's ears, where they hear it, they feel it, but it's no longer distracting for them. Yeah. That's kind of. I wish we have like 10 hours to do this. No, I'm kidding. Truly, I thank you guys for letting me come out and talk to you. But thank you, TJ.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your presence is appreciated.
Oh, I appreciate it. I truly just believe, this role can help the ultimate goal of praising God and giving people that undistracted moment. Because truly when someone walks through those doors, how can we create that pathway for someone that might not know Jesus? And as MDs, if we can make sure the band is doing what it's supposed to be doing to create that pathway and to do things for God, then we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. To leave you all with a very quick thought, the practical next steps of, he mentioned some that are great, but I think vision-wise, what I want to see out of us specifically, the next best step is joining the team in memorizing those hymns, just because that would really help your confidence with them, and also their trust in you, that when they forget something, you're there with them. Over the next few months, we will have a lot more Sundays proportionate to what we have in the past that will have a spontaneous space scheduled in services. Most of you haven't been on a team yet that you've seen that happen. What that means is there is a space scheduled for 2 to 5 minutes after a song that we can go into anything. But I will put the recommendations that I think thematically will be appreciated in that moment. So I'll put 3-ish songs that we can go in, and I will make a better job at communicating to the worship leaders here. These are the songs that we could go into. Feel free to shift them up a little bit if you want to, but that will come more with time and experience as we have more of that actual catalog under our belt. Right now, we're starting kind of from scratch, like especially Chuck, you're at a huge disadvantage right now coming in with a church merge. So we will be doing those hymns, and then we will be implementing over the next year hand signals, developing trust with leaders and with MDs. And then at the end of the day, I don't expect you guys to be perfect. Again, just like I'm not expecting piano players to have everything figured out, I am expecting that you guys will carry the vision with you of what worship moments can look like in a unified and free space. And if you have problems with that vision, if you have questions about that vision, just literally talk to me at any point. Absolutely.
Would it potentially be better, since we're putting in that time after the last song, would it be better to have the leading worship that they pray instead of
Yes.
the host, because
Yep.
the host is are they going to do it, have to do it
Yes. So that is something that we fixed last week. After a spontaneous moment, the ending prayer will always be the worship leaders, for the simple fact that the host, Alex is a great guy. He's on staff, but love him to death. You all know Alex. He jumped the gun 2 weeks ago, and Jarvis felt it really on his heart to go into In Christ Alone. And Alex, he did the right thing. He left enough space, or what he thought it was enough space, for Jarvis to go into it. But as we're doing this new thing, Jarvis didn't have enough confidence to go into it right away. And so Alex just jumped the gun just because and came up. So yes, we've addressed that. And every time now after spontaneous space, one of the worship leaders will be scheduled to pray, whether they were the one leading the space or not. So
I'm available.
I'm available.
I know you ask all the time, and I appreciate that, but I love helping out. And so if you guys ever have any thoughts, let me know. I'm always down to give takes. And if you want to hear more stupid stories, like, do it again. I've got plenty.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you had a wealth of knowledge that you didn't get quite the amount of time to share. So
No, this was like.
Can you send us the study guide?
Yeah, of course. I'll send it to TJ if you want. You can have it. But it's basically
It will. You guys will never see it. I'll just keep it for myself.
I personally feel encouraged by y'all's desires, even just showing up tonight. It just shows that like y'all's hearts are in really cool places to step up and do this, and you know, the church is going to be better for it. Your team's going to be better for it, and
That cannot be overstated.
absolutely. And just create your own stories, man. Let those moments that are terrible be great memories, and those become great memories because you weren't afraid to try those moments. So just feel encouraged.
I'll pray us out. Get out of here. Cool. God, thank you for all of these men in here who have really stepped up in a cool way. Whether it's in specific technical abilities or it's just being available to